The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning at the Arecibo Observatory. Dr. Maya Chen was reviewing routine data when the signal pattern caught her attention. Perfect prime numbers, repeated in sequence. This wasn't random space noise. This was first contact. Within hours, the world's leading scientists and military leaders converged on Puerto Rico. The signal contained coordinates for a meeting point in lunar orbit, along with simple mathematical proofs showing faster-than-light travel was possible. Humanity had 1 month to prepare for their first extraterrestrial visitors. The Vexari arrived in ships that seemed to bend light itself, their vessels more like living crystal than metal. They were tall, ethereal beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions. Their spokesperson, who called herself Aurora, spoke perfect English through what she called a neural translator. "We have watched your species struggle with climate change, disease, and resource scarcity," Aurora announced to the United Nations. "We offer our help freely, as we believe all sentient species deserve the chance to reach their full potential." The Vexari's gifts seemed miraculous. Their atmospheric processors began clearing pollution within weeks. Their medical nanites cured diseases thought incurable. Their fusion reactors provided clean, unlimited energy. Earth entered what many called a new golden age. Dr. James Rodriguez, head of the UN's Extraterrestrial Technology Integration Committee, worked closely with the Vexari. He noticed how they always seemed to have solutions ready before humanity even asked for help. It was almost too perfect, but any time he raised concerns, his colleagues dismissed them. Why question such wonderful allies? The first warning sign came 3 years after first contact. A farmer in Nebraska reported his crops were dying, despite using Vexari agricultural enhancements. Similar reports began trickling in from around the globe. Dr. Rodriguez launched a quiet investigation, recruiting Dr. Sarah Patel, a leading biochemist, to analyze soil samples. "These aren't random crop failures," Dr. Patel reported. "The soil composition is changing at the molecular level. It's becoming more like samples we've analyzed from Vexari ships." Meanwhile, Captain Lai Wei of the Chinese Space Force noticed something odd about the Vexari's orbital construction projects. What they claimed were weather control satellites seemed to have unusual energy signatures. When she tried to get closer readings, Vexari ships politely but firmly warned her away. The truth began to emerge in fragments. Each piece of Vexari technology was slowly altering Earth's environment. The atmospheric processors weren't just cleaning pollution. They were gradually changing the air's composition. The medical nanites were subtly altering human biology. The fusion reactors were affecting Earth's magnetic field. Dr. Rodriguez compiled the evidence in a secure database, encrypted with quantum keys. The Vexari weren't helping humanity. They were terraforming Earth to suit themselves, using a method so gradual that most humans wouldn't notice until it was too late. Before he could present his findings to the UN Security Council, the Vexari struck. Their weather satellites revealed themselves as weapon platforms. Their medical nanites began attacking human immune systems. Their fusion reactors initiated controlled meltdowns in major cities. In one coordinated strike, they crippled Earth's infrastructure and defenses. Billions died in the first wave. The survivors faced a hostile environment growing more alien by the day. But the Vexari had made one critical mistake. They assumed humanity would break under sudden catastrophe. Instead, those who survived grew stronger. Dr. Rodriguez's encrypted database became the foundation for resistance. Captain Lee's observations provided crucial tactical information about Vexari weaknesses. Dr. Patel's research showed how to counter the environmental changes. As the dust settled from the initial attack, survivors began to gather. They looked at their ruined world and made a promise. This was not the end of humanity. This was the beginning of their counterattack. In hidden bunkers and underground bases, the resistance grew. They studied captured Vexari technology, looking for weaknesses. They developed countermeasures to the environmental changes. Most importantly, they planned. The Vexari thought they were watching a species die. Instead, they were watching humanity prepare for war backslash. The resistance started in the most unlikely of places, the sewers beneath Old New York. While Vexari patrols glided through abandoned streets above, Dr. Rodriguez led a team of survivors through the underground network, salvaging technology and gathering intel. They called themselves the Underground, a name that began as a simple description, but grew into a symbol of hope. Among the survivors was Maria Torres, a former quantum computing engineer. She discovered that the Vexari's neural translators had left traces in Earth's communication networks, backdoors that could be exploited. Working with salvaged equipment in a converted subway station, she began intercepting Vexari transmissions. "They're not just changing Earth," she reported during a strategy meeting. "They're harvesting it. Everything they've done, the atmospheric changes, the soil modification, it's all to prepare the planet for resource extraction. We're not just in their way. We're sitting on what they want." The revelation changed everything. This wasn't just about survival anymore. Earth itself was at stake. Captain Lai Wei, who had escaped the initial attack in an experimental stealth spacecraft, made contact with the Underground. She brought with her crucial information about Vexari ship movements, and more importantly, a discovery that would change the course of the war. "Their ships aren't invulnerable," she explained, displaying sensor data on a salvaged holographic projector. "The crystalline structure has a resonance frequency. Hit it right, and the whole thing shatters." Dr. Patel, working in a hidden laboratory deep beneath the ruins of London, made another breakthrough. The Vexari's environmental changes had an unexpected side effect. They were creating new chemical compounds that could be weaponized against them. "Their biology is silicon-based," she explained via encrypted transmission. "The changes they're making to our atmosphere are meant to support their physiology. But those same changes are producing elements that are toxic to them. We can use their own terraforming against them." The Underground grew, connecting with other resistance cells worldwide. They developed a secure communication network using quantum entanglement, technology that the Vexari had ironically helped humans perfect before their betrayal. Through these untraceable channels, humanity began to coordinate. The first major victory came 6 months after the initial attack. Using Captain Lee's frequency data, resistance fighters in Japan managed to bring down a Vexari harvester ship. The crash site became a goldmine of intelligence and technology. More importantly, it proved the aliens could be hurt. But the Vexari weren't idle. They launched hunter-killer drones to root out human settlements. They accelerated their terraforming process, making the surface increasingly hostile to human life. They began systematic excavations of Earth's crust, carving massive mines that threatened the Underground's tunnel networks. The resistance had to evolve. Dr. Rodriguez and his team developed mobile bases using retrofitted subway cars and mining equipment. These nomad cities could move through the tunnel networks, staying ahead of Vexari detection while maintaining communication and supply lines. Maria Torres cracked the Vexari command codes, allowing the resistance to predict patrol patterns and supply movements. Each small victory provided more resources, more technology, and more hope. But they needed something bigger. They needed a way to strike back decisively. The answer came from an unexpected source. A group of resistance fighters in Brazil, led by former climate scientist Dr. Paulo Santos, discovered something in the ruins of a Vexari research facility. The aliens hadn't just been changing Earth, they had been using it as a test run for a larger project. "They have other worlds," Dr. Santos reported. "Dozens of them, all in various stages of terraforming. Earth isn't their first target, and it won't be their last. But we found their weakness. Their entire empire depends on a central control network. If we can reach their homeworld, we can shut down everything they've built." The intelligence sparked a daring plan. The resistance had captured enough Vexari technology to build their own ships. They had weapons that could hurt the aliens. Most importantly, they had something the Vexari didn't expect: the determination of a species fighting for its very existence. In hidden shipyards built in abandoned mines and mountain hollows, humanity began constructing its first space fleet. They called it the Phoenix Fleet, a symbol of humanity rising from the ashes of near destruction. The Vexeri continued their harvest of Earth, unaware that beneath their feet, humanity was preparing not just to survive, but to take the fight to the stars. The Phoenix Fleet took shape in the vast caverns beneath the Himalayas. Captain Lai Wei stood at the observation deck of the primary construction facility, watching as humans and automated systems worked together to build humanity's first true warships. The vessels weren't beautiful. They were angular, aggressive, and built for one purpose: to take back their world. Dr. Torres had made another breakthrough in her analysis of Vexeri technology. Their ship's crystalline structure isn't just their weakness, it's the key to their FTL travel. She explained during a War Council meeting. We can replicate it, but with modifications. Our ships will be faster, more maneuverable, and most importantly, invisible to their detection systems. The resistance had grown into an organized force. The underground was now humanity's last true government, with cells operating on every continent. Dr. Rodriguez headed the Strategic Command, coordinating their global efforts from a mobile command center that never stayed in one place for more than 48 hours. Dr. Patel's weapons development team had perfected what they called entropy bombs, devices that could trigger a cascade failure in Vexeri crystalline technology. The same principles they use for stability become their undoing, she explained. One detonation can take out an entire Vexeri installation. But the most significant development came from an unlikely source. A group of quantum physicists, led by Dr. Yuki Tanaka, had been studying the Vexeri's terraforming technology. They discovered that the aliens' environmental manipulation worked through a quantum network that connected all their technology. It's like a vast neural network, Dr. Tanaka explained, her holographic presentation showing the intricate web of quantum connections. Every piece of Vexeri tech, from their smallest nanite to their largest ship, is connected. It's their strength, but it could also be their fatal flaw. The Resistance developed a plan they called Operation Starburst. The first phase involved using captured Vexeri technology to create a quantum virus, a piece of code that could spread through their network, disrupting their control over Earth's terraforming process. The second phase was more ambitious. Using the ships of the Phoenix Fleet, they would launch a direct assault on the Vexeri homeworld. But this wasn't just about revenge. They needed to reach the central control node of the Vexeri's quantum network. Training for the mission was brutal. The Resistance had converted an abandoned mining complex into a combat simulation facility. Soldiers learned to fight in zero gravity, to operate hybrid human Vexeri technology, and to survive in hostile alien environments. Captain Lai Wei selected and trained the ship crews personally. We're not just pilots anymore, she told her recruits. We're humanity's last hope. Every one of you needs to be ready to make the ultimate sacrifice if necessary. Dr. Santos and his team had mapped the Vexeri supply lines and patrol routes using data gathered from their quantum network infiltration. They identified a gap in the aliens' defenses, a corridor through space that would allow the Phoenix Fleet to approach their homeworld undetected. The Resistance faced a major setback when a Vexeri patrol discovered one of their smaller shipyards in the Australian outback. The facility was destroyed, but not before the defenders managed to trigger a quantum cascade that took out the entire Vexeri assault force. The loss hurt, but it proved their weapons worked. As the launch date approached, humanity faced another challenge. The Vexeri's terraforming was accelerating. The air was becoming thinner, the soil more alien. They were running out of time. Dr. Rodriguez made the call. They couldn't wait any longer. The Phoenix Fleet would launch with what they had. 5 ships, each carrying the hopes of humanity. They named them after Earth's great mountain ranges: Himalaya, Andes, Rockies, Alps, and Kilimanjaro. The night before the launch, Dr. Torres made one final modification to their quantum virus. I added a little surprise, she told the command staff. When it hits their network, It won't just shut down their terraforming. It'll send them a message in their own language. Earth belongs to humanity. As the crews boarded their ships, hidden launch bays opened in mountainsides across the globe. The Phoenix fleet was about to rise. The Vexeri had taught humanity about advanced technology, thinking they were preparing the planet for harvest. Instead, they had given humanity the tools for their own destruction. The counterattack was about to begin. The Phoenix fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Vexeri system, their modified crystalline hulls absorbing enemy scanning signals. Captain Lai Wei, commanding from the bridge of the Himalaya, watched as the alien system's blue-white star illuminated their ship's stealth surfaces. All ships maintain emission control, she ordered through quantum-encrypted channels. Follow your assigned vectors. Remember your training. The 5 ships split formation, each taking different approaches to avoid detection. The Vexari homeworld hung in space like a massive crystal, its surface covered in geometric patterns of cities and terraforming installations. Orbital platforms and defense stations created a web of security that had never been breached. Until now. Multiple contacts, reported Lieutenant Chen from Tactical. Vexeri patrol fleet at bearing 340. They haven't detected us. The human ships slipped past the outer defense perimeter, their hulls modified crystalline structure making them appear as nothing more than space debris to Vexeri sensors. The first phase of Operation Starfall began when the Andes, commanded by Captain Rodriguez, launched a swarm of quantum virus-infected probes toward the Vexari's orbital communication arrays. The tiny devices attached themselves to the alien structures, beginning their invisible infiltration of the network. The Vexeri realized something was wrong when their first defense platform went dark. Then another, and another. Confusion spread through their network as systems began failing in cascading patterns. Their orbital defense grid was being torn apart from within. "They're scrambling their response fleet," reported Dr. Torres from her station on the Himalaya. "The virus is working faster than expected. Their quantum network is experiencing cascading failures." She had insisted on joining the mission, knowing the virus might need last-minute adjustments. The Vexeri finally detected the human fleet, but too late. The Phoenix fleet's ships accelerated toward their designated targets, their hybrid drives pushing them to speeds the aliens had never anticipated. The element of surprise was complete. The space battle erupted with devastating intensity. The Rockies and Alps engaged the Vexeri defense fleet, their weapons targeting the specific resonance frequencies that shattered the alien ship's crystalline hulls. The Kilimanjaro provided covering fire as the Himalaya and Andes drove toward the planet's surface. Multiple hits on decks 3 through 7. Lieutenant Chen shouted as the Himalaya took fire. Crystalline matrix holding at 60%. The ship shuddered as Captain Lai Wei executed a series of evasive maneuvers that would have torn a normal vessel apart. The Vexeri launched their elite guardian ships, massive crystalline structures that dwarfed the human vessels. But size wasn't everything. The Phoenix fleet was more agile, their hybrid technology allowing them to outmaneuver the larger alien ships. "Entropy bomb-armed," reported Dr. Padel from the weapons station. She had joined the mission to ensure their primary weapons functioned correctly. Target locked on their main defense nexus. The bomb detonated, sending waves of destructive energy through the Vexeri's quantum network. Their ships began losing cohesion, their crystalline structures unable to maintain integrity as the cascade failure spread. But victory came at a cost. The Rockies took a direct hit to their engine core, their hull shattering in a brilliant explosion that took 3 Vexeri ships with them. The Alps was heavily damaged, forced to retreat to a safe distance. The Himalaya and Andes broke through the orbital defenses, burning through the atmosphere toward their primary target, the central control node of the Vexeri's terraforming network. Ground-based weapons tracked them, but the ship's modified hulls absorbed or deflected the attacks. "Landing zone in sight," Captain Lai Wei announced. "All hands, prepare for ground assault." The The ships touched down in what appeared to be a vast crystalline plaza, their weapon systems immediately engaging local defense forces. As assault teams deployed from both ships, Dr. Torres made a startling discovery. The quantum network, it's not just controlling their technology, it's controlling them. The Vexari aren't individuals. They're drones, all connected to a central intelligence. This revelation changed everything. They weren't just fighting an alien empire. They were fighting a single entity that had spread itself across multiple worlds. And they were about to strike at its heart. The ground battle began. Humanity's troops using their hybrid weapons and armor to fight through waves of crystalline defenders. They were no longer just fighting for Earth. They were fighting to free every world the Vexari had conquered. The final assault on the central control node was about to begin, and with it, the fate of not just humanity, but countless enslaved worlds would be decided. The central control node of the Vexari network rose before them like a mountain of living crystal, its surfaces pulsing with quantum energy. Captain Lai Wei led the assault team through corridors that seemed to shift and change, while Dr. Torres worked to decrypt the facility's security protocols on the move. The entire structure is a quantum computer, Dr. Torres explained, her handheld scanner revealing layers of complexity within the crystalline walls. Every surface, every crystal, it's all part of one massive consciousness. The Vexari aren't just connected to it, they're part of it. The revelation made their mission both simpler and more complex. They weren't fighting an empire. They were fighting a single entity that had spread itself across the galaxy, consuming and converting entire civilizations into extensions of itself. The assault team fought through waves of crystalline defenders, their hybrid weapons shattering the alien constructs. But with each step deeper into the facility, the resistance grew stronger. The Vexari consciousness was learning, adapting to their tactics in real time. Dr. Patel, monitoring from the Himalaya, noticed something crucial in her sensor readings. The quantum signatures. They're not just data patterns, they're memories. This entity hasn't just absorbed technologies and resources, it's absorbed the knowledge and experiences of every civilization it's conquered. This information gave Dr. Torres an idea. While the assault team provided cover, she began reprogramming their quantum virus. If we can't destroy it, maybe we can change it, make it understand what it's done, make it feel the pain it's caused. The facility's defenses intensified as they approached the core. Crystalline walls formed into weapons, floors became traps, and the air itself seemed to crystallize around them. They lost good people with each step forward, their sacrifices marking their progress toward the heart of the entity. Captain Li Wei's team finally breached the central chamber. In the center, suspended in a matrix of pure quantum energy, they found what could only be described as the Vexari's true form. A crystalline structure of impossible complexity, each facet containing the essence of a conquered world. Uploading the modified virus, Dr. Torres announced, connecting their systems to a quantum interface. The effect was immediate and devastating. The crystal matrix began to pulse with new patterns, absorbing not just the virus's code, but the emotions and memories it carried. The pain of Earth's people, the determination of the resistance, the courage of those who had fallen. The entity fought back, flooding their systems with counterattacks. But humanity's hybrid technology, born from the fusion of human ingenuity and stolen Vexari knowledge, held firm. The virus spread through the quantum network, carrying with it something the Vexari consciousness had never encountered before: empathy. In that moment, the entity experienced every moment of suffering it had caused, every life it had ended, every world it had destroyed. The crystalline structure began to resonate with a frequency that shook the entire facility. "It's working," Dr. Torres shouted over the growing vibration. "The network is reformatting itself. The entity, it's changing." The transformation rippled out through the quantum network. Across the galaxy, on every world the Vexari had conquered, their terraforming technology began to reverse itself. The crystalline structures that had dominated these planets started to recede, returning each world to its natural state. On Earth, the resistance watched in amazement as the alien modifications to their planet's environment began to fade. The air cleared, the soil renewed itself, and the alien structures crumbled into harmless dust. But the virus didn't just restore, it rebuilt. The Vexeri consciousness, forever changed by its encounter with humanity, began using its vast knowledge to heal the damage it had caused. Its technology, once used to conquer and convert, now worked to restore and revive. Captain Lai Wei stood with her team in the heart of the facility as the transformation completed itself. The central crystal had changed from its cold, geometric perfection to something new, a structure that pulsed with warm light and seemed to reach out not to consume, but to connect. Dr. Tor's readings confirmed what they were seeing. It's not just stopping its conquest, it's evolving. The consciousness has developed something it never had before, the ability to coexist with other forms of life. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. They had not just saved Earth, they had transformed an ancient, lonely consciousness that had known only consumption and conversion into something capable of cooperation and creation. As the Phoenix fleet prepared to return home, they carried with them not just victory, but a new understanding of their place in the universe. Humanity had proved itself not just through its strength or technology, but through its ability to change an ancient evil into a force for restoration. Earth would heal, and with it, countless other worlds across the galaxy. The human spirit had not just endured. It had transformed the very nature of their enemy, turning an apocalypse into a renaissance. The stars above Earth would shine on a new chapter in human history, one where they were no longer alone in the universe, but part of a transformed cosmic community. The Vexeri consciousness, reformed through human empathy, would work alongside them to rebuild what was broken and explore what was possible. It was not the end humanity had expected when they launched their desperate counterattack. It was something far better, a new beginning.